Bonjour les étudiants. I come to you today with our first video lesson. I hope everybody's doing well, and I hope this is gonna work for everybody. So let's start right away with Leçon 23, which we started already, and we started working on the imperfect tense, l'imparfait. So the title of the lesson was À Menton, Saint-Bernard. We looked at the first learning target, which is I can use l'imparfait or the imperfect to talk about things that were happening in the past over a period of time. And we looked at this slide, which says, in French as in English, people use different tenses to talk about the past. The most common past tense is the passé composé, which you have been using so far. Another frequently used past tense is the imperfect or l'imparfait, which is the other past tense. And let's look at the French sentences below where the verbs are in the imperfect tense. Où est-ce que tu habitais avant? Où est-ce que tu habitais avant means where did you live before? So habiter in its form, in its imperfect form, habiter means did live. Où est-ce que tu habitais avant? Where did you live before? Now let's look at the second sentence, which is a reply to the question. J'habitais à Bordeaux. I lived or I used to live in Bordeaux. So in the imperfect tense, there is an implication that the verb happened over a period of time in the past. Let's look at the third sentence. Qu'est-ce que vous faisiez à 6 heures? What were you doing at 6? Not what did you do? What were you doing? Faisiez translates to were doing. Okay? Now, the last sentence. Nous finissions nos devoirs. We were finishing our homework. So you notice that the imperfect indicates an action in the past that was spread over a certain amount of time. So element, the passé composé is composed of the past participle and the helping verb. The imparfait is a simple tense which consists of one word. It is formed as follows. So we start with the imperfect stem plus the imperfect ending. Now, for all verbs except être, the imperfect stem is derived as follows. So we're going to look at how to actually form the imperfect stem. The imperfect stem for all the verbs except être is formed as follows. Nous, form of the present tense minus the ONS. And the imperfect endings are the same for all verbs. In the following slide, we'll explain a little bit this formation. So looking at this chart, we see that we are gonna formulate the imperfect tense of the ER verbs, the regular ER verbs, the irregular IR verbs, and the regular RE verbs. We're gonna look also at the irregular verb formation in the imperfect tense. And here we have the imperfect endings. So we're gonna start with the infinitive of the verb. In this case, it's parler. We look for the nous form of the present tense, which is nous parlons, of course, for the ER verb. And so the stem of the imperfect is formed by dropping the ONS, and we end up with parle. Right? So this is a stem. Same thing for finir, and we will look at the conjugation next. But let's look at how the formation for all the different types of verbs is very similar. So for finir, which is a regular IR verb, you start with the nous form of the present tense. Nous finissons. Nous finissons. And then we drop this ONS, this cluster of letters, and we end up with finisse with a double S. Same thing for the RE verbs that are regular. We start with the infinitive of the verb, vendre, and then we conjugate it with the new form of the present tense, which is vendons, and then we drop the ONS, and we end up with the stem of the verb, which is vendre. Irregulars, like faire, same thing. We look for the present tense of the nous, with the nous conjugation, which is faisons. Faisons, we drop the ONS and we end up with the stem feuse, feuse. Okay? Now, we have the stems of these verbs. To these verbs, we add the imperfect endings, which are the same for all different types of verbs. So for the je, it would be, the ending is AIS. For the tu is AIS. For the il, elle, and on, it's AIT. For the nous, it's EONS or IONS. So we add the I in front of the ONS. And for the vous form, it's IEZ or EEZ. And for the il in the L form of the verb in the imperfect, it's the ending is AIENT. And we end up with, for parler, we start with the stem, parle, and then you conjugate the verb like this. Je parlais. Tu parlais, il parlait, elle parlait, on parlait, nous parlions, vous parliez, il et elle parlaient. So, as you are listening to this video, you are welcome to pause the video after me pronouncing or conjugating each verb with its subject pronoun. Like when I say je parlais, pause it and repeat after me for practice, for pronunciation practice, as we do usually in class. So I'm gonna go to the next verb, which is the IR regular verb, and I'm gonna show you the pronunciation of the conjugated imperfect tense. So we said that the stem is finis, and you add the imperfect endings for each subject pronoun, and you'll end up with je finissais, tu finissais, il, elle, on finissait, nous finissions, vous finissiez, il et elle, au pluriel, finissaient. Are you pausing and repeating? Please do. Let's look at the verb vendre now. It's a regular RE verb, and all the other regular RE verbs are conjugated the same way in the imperfect, okay? So, you start with vendre, you look for the new form of the present tense vendons, you drop the ONS, and then you add the imperfect endings and you end up with je vendais, tu vendais, il vendait, nous vendions, vous vendiez, il et elle vendaient. For faire, the new form of the present tense is nous faisons. You drop the ONS, you end up with the stem fais, and you add the endings. And it will be, the conjugated form of the verb would be je faisais, tu faisais, il faisait, nous faisions, vous faisiez, il faisait. Now, let's go back to the meaning of these verbs. When we say je parlais, what does this mean? It is an action in the past, but it indicates, remember, it indicates an action that happened in the past over a stretch of time. So when you say je parlais, it should mean I was talking or I was speaking, not I spoke. I was speaking. Je finissais means I was finishing. Je vendais means I was selling. Je faisais means I was doing. Now, in the negative form, they are conjugated. The verbs in the imperfect are conjugated as in any negative form. You use ne pas, and you place ne pas around the conjugated verb, which is parler, for instance, in this case. So when we say je ne parlais pas, it means I was not speaking. And in the question form or the interrogative form, à l'interrogatif, it's formed, the sentence is formulated as any interrogative sentence. You can either start with est-ce que and then add the subject and the verb, and the sentence looks like this or sounds like this. Est-ce que tu parlais? Please pause and repeat for practice, for pronunciation. Est-ce que tu parlais? Or you can skip using est que and do the verb and subject inversion. Parlais-tu? Were you speaking? This is the first section of the learning video for our lesson. Merci. Be on the lookout for more videos that have more fun and engaging activities. Merci à tous.